Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. You know who it is, the Cat Natch Resident Fly Guy, your chief architect, Michelangelo, StarArchitects.com, here to help you redesign your frame of mind when it comes to this lifestyle thing. And as you can see, I'm in an empty room. It's kind of empty. You just got my crowns and stuff up. You got to keep the crowns up because, as I told you last week, we are in the process of moving. So I apologize for the inconsistency um, in the posting, but we will be right back on point. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna get it together. I promise. It's gonna be a beautiful thing. Um, Anywho, outside of that, just watch the progression. You know, I ain't shamed. You gotta see the progression sometimes. So, outside of that, today is Taylor Thought Tuesdays. You know, where we are going to talk about how to create clothing that is consciously impactful and communicating the very best version of who you are. Before we get started, though, if this is your first time here, welcome. And welcome to all my new subscribers. Yo, shout out to the Style OG, my big bro, for shouting me out and for bringing all of these wonderful new people into and onto my channel. Trust and rest assured, you will be receiving a message from me over the course of the next few days just to thank you, welcome you, and to also ask you for any insight or anything that you may need, some advice you want to know about. So for any things that you want to know about, so that I can better assist you the very best way that I can. So just be on the lookout for that. Outside of that, today we're going to be talking about being influential and how to be influential with your image. You know that I believe that every man has a story, and that that story soon gives you history or his story, and it all begins with a statement in your style. So we're always making those statements, and those statements often have a heavy level of influence. And a lot of guys get the misperception that because they don't have, $1 million contract, or they are not a superstar, entertainer, that somehow they can't be influential. And that's simply not true. I don't care if you have 2 followers on Instagram, 3 followers on Facebook, and nobody's checking for you in these streets. There is always somebody watching you at your church, on your campus, or with the nonprofit organizations that you may be in, or just the little kid who sees you coming down the stairs each day. As long as you are presenting yourself with the very best of yourself, trust and rest assured that somebody's out there watching you and paying attention. And even though you think that you may not have an influence, I want to talk to you briefly about micro influencers and their importance in this modern day social media world. Now, a lot of people have been pushing, I got to be an influencer, I got to be an influencer, and I need 150,000 followers. But last year, a great report came out on a new trend called the micro influencer. So this is for you guys who may only have 100 followers, or may only have 300 or 400 followers, but you have a great engagement. You're engaging with your community all the time. Well, you actually may be more impactful and more beneficial to a company than that person who has 10, 15,000 followers, but is still getting the same like ratio or the same engagement that you are. Because the thought process is if he only has 400 people, but his turnover is 35, 40%. So for every 100 people that you have, 40 people are giving you engagement. So you have 45, 50 likes, and then you have 15 or 20 comments on whatever it is that you're talking about. Well, then you're much more influential than that person who has 10,000 followers, but only is getting the 100 likes or 10 engagements. Because at that point, they're only having a 10% conversion versus your 35%, conversion. And so companies will pay attention to those things, because the thought process is if you promote something, you have a tribe, you have a community of people who look to you and appreciate what you have to say. So they're going to be much more inclined to click through to the website and potentially make a purchase. So I don't, even from a social media standpoint, want you to think that just because you have low numbers or low following that you're not going to be influential. Hell, it's not like I'm having thousands and thousands of followers, but the fact that I know that I'm impacting certain people, whether it's your wonderful messages or somebody on the street who says he has happened to see one of my videos or one of my Instagram posts, that speaks to the influence that I may be having. And I want the same for you. So if you've been rocking with me, or if you haven't been rocking with me, we're going to talk about how to do that. And so we always talk about your consciousness. We talk about how to construct that into your character, or the consciousness of your character into the construction of your wardrobe, and then ultimately how to communicate yourself in different situations. So when it comes to the consciousness of your character and being influential, first thing that you have to do is you have to know your identity, and you have to be steadfast and unapologetic about who you are and what you're representing. So many guys are afraid to be who they are. They're afraid to have their own opinion, whether it's a right or wrong opinion, or have their own point of view, whether it's right or wrong. And that is actually the thing that's going to set you apart. That is actually the thing that's going to create a influential person. Not the person who's going to always ride the fence and be afraid to say something wrong or to offend somebody. Because you can always apologize if you inadvertently offended somebody, or even if you intentionally and offended somebody, but don't do that. And so because of that, you can be that much more influential because you're focalized on what it is that you are looking to express. The other side of that is you'll always know what you're talking about. I'm a big proponent of Gary Vee, so shout out to my virtual friend in my mind, Gary Vee. When he is talking about a lot of the reasons why he's an expert in his space is because he'll say, I don't talk about stuff that I don't know about. So he knows about the social media thing. He knows about entrepreneurship business because he's done it. He's been successful in it. But he doesn't try to be somebody that he's not. He doesn't try to start talking politics. He can talk sports, but he doesn't talk the arts or fine arts. He can talk hip hop because he knows hip hop, but he doesn't talk country music. And so because he has that awareness, that self-awareness that he always talks about within himself, he doesn't then find himself talking, crazily about something that he doesn't really know about. So you have to have a self-awareness. You have to have your own identity of knowing who you are, being unapologetic about it, but also not being foolish enough to think that you can start talking about something in an authoritative type of way when you're not really well versed in it. The second thing comes when we're talking about constructing our wardrobe within the confines of the image that we are conveying. A lot of times, dudes overdo it. So they start saying, oh, I need to be dressed up in this space, so I'm going to go completely over the top, even though I'm a conservative character. And so they end up being incongruent with their image, which limits their influence. So if you're a simple guy, when you're casual, be a simple guy when you're dressed up. Elegance is actually often associated with simplicity. So you actually could end up conveying that you're a very elegant guy simply by being simplistic, by keeping things simple, but making sure everything is tailored to fit, making sure that everything is properly placed and proportioned, and you are out the door with no muss or no fuss. If you are a more eccentric type of guy, or, more colorful and charming and whimsical, much like myself, then you can be that when you are elegant, right? But you also want to still maintain that congruency when you are dressed down. So a lot of people will say, well, Mike, why don't we ever see you in a t-shirt, some jeans, and like some sneakers? Well, that's not me. That's not a representation of who I am. And I don't ever want to be incongruent with how I am interacting with you guys on a ongoing level. I want you to always say, oh yeah, that's Michael. He always dresses like that. He always speaks like that. He always moves like that. So that there is congruency there. Because again, that builds trust, which then builds influence, that builds credibility and cachet for how I'm moving. So lastly, when it comes to the communication aspect of who you are and having influence, there are people who are going to help you and people who are going to hurt you. There's people who are going to provide influence, well, let me rephrase. There's people who are going to help create indecision, and another person who's going to help create information and drive to help you get to where you want to go. And the former, those people who are creating division, destruction, and who are hating and talking about people are never going to have the proper influence that they want, because they actually create feelings of like insecurity. So I've had and seen several things on, whether it's some Reddits or any groups or forums that I'm in, where guys are coming in saying like, oh, your style is trash, or I'm tired of these dudes doing all these different types of things, as if they always knew about their personal style, as if they always were proficient in their presentation. And they forget that At one point, they were wearing some whack stuff. At one point, they were following the trends that everybody else was. At one point, they were easily influenced by what others said and what others had to say about them. And being honest with you, some of those guys still do. And that's the reason why they're always talking about negatives without any solutions. I have no problem with somebody being critical of something or someone else, but come to the table with the motherfucking solution. Don't just talk about, this or that and say, like, oh yeah, this person is whack. Well, what makes them whack? They just whack. Like what? Like, you whack. You whack because you're giving that person attention that you say is whack, and they're not even checking for you, or they're not even worried about you, or you're even more whack because that person was paying attention and was looking to you for potentially advice or any of those different types of things. And I know, fellas, we're going to be more than likely like the person who's laughing to, yeah, man, that is trash. That's crazy. That's crazy. But in the back of your mind, when you're doing that side eye, you're hoping that they don't notice you. So you just laugh and go along with the rest of the group, in that mob mentality type of space. Because if I laugh at this person, maybe nobody else will see my insecurity, my feelings of like worthlessness or any of the other things that you may be dealing with. So instead, I'd rather build somebody up. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to be critical. That doesn't mean I'm not going to hold you accountable. That simply means that I see your greatness and I'm going to hold you to it. So I want you to try that on, see how it fits you. Question of the day. Question of the day. Yo, when it comes to influence, what are the factors, what are the components, and all the things that you need in order to be influential? This could be with your image or just in life. Well, I definitely want to hear what your thoughts are and look forward to seeing those in the comment box. To all my new subscribers, thank you so much for subscribing. You guys are dope. I can't wait to interact with you. If you have any questions or you want me to talk about something on Style Speaks, by all means, send me an email to info@Style Architects. Leave me some comments in the comment box, or you can hit me up on Instagram @Style Architects. Any one of those ways, I will be with you. Outside of that, yo, we're gonna be great today, right? It's Tuesday. We can be great. But then again, you already are. You already knew that, right? So now, all you have to do is show up and show out in style. Outside of that, give this a thumbs up if you found the information beneficial. Please make sure that you share this with a friend, somebody who could use it, somebody who wants to be influential, and above all, don't ever forget that dress is nothing more than the expression of a man's state of mind. So you, just you, should always dress to express. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.